Well, I've been in the restaurant business for about 37 years, and because my name's Candy Dish, I was either going to be a prostitute or ended up in the food business. So it was the food business. And so now I'm kind of involved in the coffee cart and the food buying group that we've got here in our village. And we're trying to keep it as a circular economy. We're trying to buy Australian first, organic if we can, try to keep the prices reasonable for our people and for people outside the gates as well. It's just who is ever in our food buying group.
How do you choose like the bulk buying group as your way of contributing?
Because I get to come and do my shopping while I'm here, which is very helpful. It's just a really nice thing to do. I do it every second week. I share with another mum, so it's not too much of a commitment that it's, too hard. Come down for 2 hours every second Saturday, and yeah, it's just a nice way to interact with the community. You get to see lots of different people that you wouldn't otherwise cross paths with.
Yeah, I was part of a food co-op in Sydney, so just come along I want to get some of the tomatoes and maybe some other things here. I've been meaning to pop in and buy some things, so yeah.
I haven't been there.
How many village members do you think use our bulk buying group?
Oh, I don't know. Probably, I'm trying to think, 30, 40? There's a lot. Yeah, quite a lot. Like some more than others. I mean, there's a few of us that probably, every week are spending $50, $80, $100 and, getting majority of our food from here. And others will just pop in just to get, dried apricots. And even some of the local neighbours, so non-village members that, are aware of the village and come in to go to the cafe, are aware of it. So they will often now come in, so we have an account for them. So they can come and get things, which is really cool.
Cool. Is it a lot of work?
No, there's plenty of information online on how to set up a food buying group, and I'd recommend it for any community because it allows you to connect with your neighbors. It's very casual. You're contributing to your circular economy wherever that is. You're getting a better buy, and you just need to contribute yourself to it as well, and that's a really important part. In our village, we're lucky that so many people are willing to volunteer when the volunteering is needed, and I think it'll fall apart if you don't have enough people that will volunteer, and I think that's happened a few times in the past when we've done different things. The food co-op itself had in Manly had a few times when we almost had to close because we didn't have enough people coming as that was one thing, and then we didn't have enough volunteers to make up for the difference. And it does allow you to get a paid element in there at some point when you are successful, which could also be for someone who's put in a lot of energy and time, who started it, or yeah.
What was your motivation for setting up the food buying group?
So we got only organic food, mostly with a 10% markup instead of. I set up a food co-op with 10 other people in Manly, maybe 30 years ago now, and we started out with just a 15% markup, and now they have moved to an expensive location. Their markup is about 80%. So it is so hard for people to buy in Manly good food and a food co-op and be part of a community as well, because that's what a food co-op does. But here we do everything with volunteers. We don't pay anybody, and people are happy to contribute. We got people that are interested in food mostly are in here and helping us do the smaller quantities, and it's easier that way for single people to be able to buy from us.
I'm passionate about the food side of things, and just in terms of being able to support this, to be able to have, local bulk organic food supplies that are affordable, because we get it in bulk, it's much more affordable. When we've done comparisons to the supermarket prices for nuts and things like that, we're pretty much paying the same, if not less, for organic produce. And I feel really strongly about that, and I hate having to go to the shop, so this means that I can come and get all my things and not have to go out, don't have to leave. I can walk down from my house, don't have to get in the car. It's really good. We've got quite a few. We've got a herb supplier where we get all our dried, so we've got a whole lot of dried teas, spices, herbs, more specialty kind of stuff. Honest to Goodness is the bulk one for all of our, basic kind of things. I think the fish, the tuna can, so that's been a really popular new thing. I mean, it's amazing how much people were otherwise buying at the supermarket. And so we do just tend to add, if people have requests, then we'll add product lines in, and if we can find a supplier, we are getting a bulk enough order through that we can easily add new suppliers. So one of our members was wanting to get hold of a traditionally made millet broom from the Tumut Broom Company and discovered that it's a bunch of, 60, 70-year-old men running it that are, possibly soon to close. So he actually ended up putting in an order, probably a couple of grand worth of brooms, and got a big supply delivered. So we've got these amazing, beautiful, all different types, like an outdoor one, and then a whole lot of, children's, smaller ones, sort of caravan type ones. So they're for sale as well. So over different times, Lyndall's book, we get different members coming in and popping their products in here that we can sell for them.
What do you think the most popular products
Are apricots, dried apricots, no sulfur, beautiful brown looking, disgusting looking, beautiful tasting dried apricot, organic, and what else? Oh, oats. There's a whole bunch of kids and families here, and they love rolled oats. Australian rolled oats we get if organic rolled oats weren't, biodynamic rolled oats weren't possible. Price is kind of important for that one, but mostly we get a good 40 kilos, and it's gone in 3 weeks. Yeah, it's crazy. And even in summer, they eat it. I don't know, these parents.
Candy opens on a Wednesday afternoon between 3 and 5, and then we open on a Saturday. The time changes, obviously, being two mums, there's often family commitments, different things. But we've got a community online notification system, so we can send out to tell people when we're opening. And if people can't get here, then often we can pack things up for them and leave it in their mailbox, that kind of thing as well. The cashless, cardless system, it's pretty old school. You come and you write on a piece of paper, so you fill out your shopping list with your order of what you've ordered, and then we set up an account for you via your email address, and we just send you an invoice. So
we don't make any money. We make enough to buy the scales, have them adjusted to make sure they're always right. We don't pay anybody, and we just keep it, so we can keep it at 10%. And another big important thing to me was no plastics, recycling, reusing first, and then recycling containers. And we do that here. We've got a dishwasher, a professional dishwasher that doesn't start until it's 80 degrees centigrade, and which will sterilize everything. And then we let them air dry, and we use those over and over. The same containers. People bring them back, and then we redo them. We use Honest to Goodness mostly, but we also can choose with Honest to Goodness because they have a lot of different choices. So we could have, for example, organic walnuts are just out of our range, and most people can't afford them, so we don't even have them because we couldn't buy enough in bulk. We have Australian walnuts, which is the next best thing, and they are 1/3 the price of organic, and so that's what we'll say on our jars and things that it's Australian. And so it helps people who do buy at Kohl's, and it helps them to, they don't have to think and spend hours at Kohl's trying to figure out what they should buy, right? Well, they can come to us for their dry goods, and they know someone else has done the research. And we have a little blog, a section on our food co-op, which is a Slack channel that we share things on, and it's kind of an educational channel. And that some of those people read this educational section as well. So it's a way of implementing change as best we can. And it's not just me. There's so many people who have great ideas, and then we're really open in our village to those ideas. And it's changed the way people shop. It's changed the way people think about, do I get a coffee outside the gate where they're giving it to me in a paper container with a plastic lid? Or do I bring my cup to the coffee cart and get a coffee in the village where it's a little bit cheaper because it's volunteers that run the coffee cart? But by being volunteer running the coffee cart, you have more opportunity, because you can afford it, to offer people for a smaller price organic coffee, organic milk, organic types of milks, and you can make organic food from your food buying group as well. So it's that circular thinking again, and it's becoming, as we get more and more educated in our village, it's becoming more of a thing to buy within the community, our community first maybe, and then our local community, and then Australia, and then the world, right? At the food co-op in Manly, we had a big problem with weevils. So it was a choice of our original choice of how we set it up with these big containers that didn't close enough to keep weevils out, right? And we were storing too much stuff in them at the time because it was an easier way to do. So other than putting a little bit in at a time and then keeping them in a walk-in fridge or something, then which is what we should have done in hindsight. So we lost a lot of product, and it was hard to recoup from that because we were at a starting point. We didn't know what we were doing, and so there's a lot of learnings in that. You can freeze weevils and they die. So we used to buy everything as a group, and then we would all come together the day that we would unpack it. We would put it into big containers, and then we would sell it. And we would already have orders for the food, so that when we finished all the orders, there was no food left, or enough to fit in a small fridge even. So we didn't have any problems that way. But the problem with that is we had to sell things in, huge amounts, and a lot of people wouldn't buy. So the amount that we would sell oats would be maybe the smallest amount we would sell is 20 kilos, and a lot of people couldn't buy 20 kilos, right? But a lot of people could, but a lot of people couldn't. So in our village, people would get together and say, I'll take 10, and and the other people would take 10. So that's okay for our village, but a community that isn't close by each other or doesn't really communicate that much with each other would have problems that way. Maybe one or two things might be here for 3 months, and that would be the longest that we would have things here. We don't buy in that big of quantities, and if we did, it was a mistake, and then we would offer that at a discounted price for the time that, that if it was that length of time. And most people would be quite happy with the quality of our food. I mean, it's way better than Kohl's, wrapped in plastic bags that you don't know how old the food is. And where do those be? Oh, so fresh. Yeah, can you get, I didn't know you could get cashews fresh from Indonesia. Like, how is that possible?
Sometimes we're out of things, but it works well to have that. We sort of are continually rolling and updating what we need, and we've just had a new lot of stuff in, so that's why there's sort of bits and pieces everywhere while we unpack and sort things out.
Cool.
We have cold fridge too, so we'll store certain things in a cold fridge, cold storage, but we don't need it for very much. And we'll buy those things like, for example, dates, medjool dates are stored in the refrigerator, but a small portion of them aren't. So we would, in our packing, we put most of them in the fridge, but we'd leave some out so that we could sell them in smaller quantities. And they would go within a week, usually. And then we'd have to repack those. It's important we keep finding ways to basically save the planet and be part of that change.